Are you aware that you can acquire antibiotic residues and antibiotic-resistant bacteria from the meat and eggs that you consume? If you want to know how, stay with me in this video. Hi and welcome to my channel. My name is Louisa. In today's video, I'm going to talk about the use of antibiotics in animal production. This is a learning channel, and so here are some key lessons that you should know after watching this video. The first one is you should know why people use antibiotics in animal production. And then I'll share with you some findings in Ghana on the use of antibiotics in the agriculture sector or in animal production. And then finally, I will share with you recommendations by the WHO to the agriculture sector to help prevent and control antibiotic resistance. You need to watch my video on why you should care about antimicrobial resistance in order to understand the terms that I'm going to use in this video. And so let's jump straight to today's topic. Antibiotics are used in animal production, and this is known to be contributing or accelerating antibiotic resistance. Now, there are different reasons why farmers give antibiotics to animals, and I'm going to give you 4 of those reasons. The first reason is for treatment purposes. Just like humans, when animals get infected with bacteria, they are given antibiotics to help treat those infections. The second reason is prevention of infections during outbreaks. For large farms with bigger populations, it is highly possible that when one animal is infected with a bacteria, the infection may spread to other healthy animals. And so farmers add antibiotics to the water and feed of all the animals to prevent further spread of infections to other healthy animals. The third reason is routine prevention. And this is often practiced in farms where hygiene is very poor. So the farmers routinely add antibiotics to the feed and water of the animals to prevent infections. And the last reason is growth promotion. It is known that low doses of antibiotics, when added to the feed of animals, make them grow better. In Europe and many countries, the use of antibiotics for growth promotion is banned. Similarly, in 2017, the WHO called for a global ban on preventive antibiotic use. When a farmer gives antibiotics to animals, some of the drugs will end up in the eggs or in the flesh of the animals. But after some time or a number of days, there will be no traces of the drug. And so the period between when drugs are administered to the animals and the time when there are no traces of the drug in the animal is known as the withdrawal period. Different antibiotics have different withdrawal periods, and this is specified by the manufacturer of the antibiotic. Animal flesh are not sold or eaten within this period. Similarly, eggs that are laid within this period are destroyed or thrown away. But are these withdrawal periods adhered to? Or do you think a farmer will throw away his or her eggs that are laid within the withdrawal period in our part of the world? Let's look at some research findings from Ghana. The first 4 papers investigated the knowledge, use, attitudes, and practices by farmers. This paper was published in 2012, and it investigated antibiotic use, abuse, and their public health implications. The results of the paper indicate that despite the good educational background of farm managers that should inform decisions and actions after veterinary advice, 31 drug antibiotics, coccidiostats, and antihelmintic were being overly used to cover up husbandry and hygiene lapses and to make economic gains in terms of their constant use as growth promoters during the bird's lifetime. Taking advantage of the situation, manufacturers have produced and marketed poultry feed supplements loaded with tylosin, chloramphenicol, tetracycline, and neomycin, antibiotics that have been banned in feed for food-producing animals. Let's look at a table from the study. From the table, we find that a higher percentage of the farmers use antibiotics for prevention and treatment purposes. Their reason for choice of antibiotics was mainly because it was prescribed by a veterinary officer, which is very good. However, the percentage of farmers who were selling produce within the antibiotic withdrawal period was alarming. Now let's look at a snippet of the discussion from this study. Our investigation came out with similar findings that heavy doses of antibiotics were being used and withdrawal periods were not observed for eggs going into the market. Farmers gave the following reasons for non-observation of withdrawal periods. We cannot throw the eggs away because we are in for profits. Clients have been eating eggs for a long time and nothing happens to them. The drugs do not have any effects on eggs. Nobody is practicing that in Ghana. The high cost of production makes this unpracticable. There is no compensation from government for destroying farm produce. This study was published in 2012, so the story might be different now. Let's look at a different study published in 2014 on antibiotic types and handling practices in disease management among pig farms in Ashanti region. The authors found that some injectable antibiotics were overly used by the farmers, especially in the management of diarrhea, rashes, and coughs. Unsafe storage and disposal practices observed among the farms reflected the abysmal knowledge on appropriate use of antibiotics. Let's look at snippets of the discussion. The knowledge of the farmers concerning antibiotics, withdrawal periods, and dosages was found to be very low. Moreover, the farmers depended more on fellow farmers than veterinarians for antibiotic knowledge, which resulted in the use of the same antibiotics and similar handling practices among farms in close proximity or within the same district. Most antibiotics, more than 95%, used in pig farms were liquid intravenous injections administered through the veins in the ear. The IV route, however, is not without risks, as the antibiotics easily settle in the adipose tissue over a longer period of time, putting consumers of pork fat at high risk of antibiotic exposure. The major advantage of not administering the antibiotics through feed or water, as is the case in poultry, is that the unnecessary exposure of healthy animals to antibiotics was avoided. Let's move on to this third study, which was published in 2016. The study investigated practices and factors influencing the use of antibiotics in selected poultry farms in Ghana. The findings of the authors showed that 63% of the farms completed recommended antibiotic course durations. 58% reported following recommended withdrawal periods, and 88% sought veterinary advice before administration of antibiotics. Let's look at a snippet of the discussion. This study showed that over 60% of the farmers failed to adhere to the recommended withdrawal period. Failure of farmers in observing withdrawal period has been attributed to the financial loss that may arise with observance of the withdrawal periods, since products such as eggs obtained within the period have to be discarded. The fourth study we are going to look at was published in 2020. This study investigated the impacts of animal health practice providers on antimicrobial use attitudes and practices, an examination of poultry layer farmers in Ghana. Let's look at a snippet of the discussion. And this says that farmers do not have access to insurance packages to compensate them in the event that they would have to dispose of the eggs during the withdrawal periods. As such, the economic costs of throwing away eggs during withdrawal periods may be too much to bear. This one was published in 2017, and it investigated the prevalence and antibiotic resistance of staphylococci isolated from poultry farms in 3 regions in Ghana. Staphylococci is a type of bacteria. Staphylococcus is used to refer to one, and staphylococci when referring to many. The findings showed high resistance towards some antimicrobials. Multi-drug resistance was observed in 19.14% of the isolates, and multi-drug resistance was higher in isolates obtained from poultry farm workers than isolates from poultry litter. This study was also published in 2020 and investigated antimicrobial resistance in E. coli isolate from raw meat in Greater Accra region. The findings showed resistance to ampicillin, tetracycline, and 2 other antibiotics. Multi-drug resistance was also identified in 22% of the isolates, and the authors conclude that the levels of microbial contamination of raw meat in this study was unacceptable. All the studies that we've looked at have indicated that the withdrawal periods are not strictly adhered to. And this could be the reason why you could acquire antibiotic residues or antibiotic-resistant bacteria from the raw meat or uncooked meats or eggs that you purchase to consume. These are recommendations by the WHO to the agriculture sector to help prevent and control the spread of antibiotic resistance. Only give antibiotics to animals under veterinary supervision. Do not use antibiotics for growth promotion or to prevent diseases in healthy animals. Vaccinate animals to reduce the need for antibiotics and use alternatives to antibiotics when available. Promote and apply good practices at all steps of production and processing of foods from animal and plant sources. Improve biosecurity on farms and prevent infections through improved hygiene and animal welfare. Share with me your experiences on the topic in the description box, and also if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe for more content.